Have you ever stared at something so mundane, so utterly normal, that your entire world implodes? For me, it was a Netflix profile. It's an icon with the letter R, right next to one with an A. My wife's name is Amelia. Mine is Richard. The other man's name is also Richard. And in that one, soul-crushing moment, I saw it all. My life, my marriage, our future all, just to show they were binge-watching together. This is the story of how I canceled their subscription. If you've ever felt the sting of betrayal, or if you just love a story where the bad guys get exactly what they deserve, and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because you won't want to miss a single second of this. It all began on a Tuesday that felt just like any other Chicago Tuesday, Gray, with a wind that bites right through your coat. I was walking home down Michigan Avenue, a bouquet of Amelia's favorite peonies in my hand. It was our 8th anniversary, 8 years. I remember thinking how the city lights seemed to dance just for us that night. I walked into our condo, the one overlooking Millennium Park, expecting to find her waiting. Instead, the air was cold and empty. A note was on the counter. Had to work late, babe? Last-minute crisis at the firm, rain check? XOA, my heart sank. But I understood. She was a high-powered lawyer. These things happened. I put the flowers in a vase, ate a lonely dinner, and fell asleep to the sound of sirens echoing off the high-rises. The next morning, she was a whirlwind of apologies and kisses, promising to make it up to me. But something was off. A flicker in her eyes I hadn't seen before. A distance. Over the next few weeks, late nights at the firm became the new normal. Her phone, once left carelessly on the coffee table, was now permanently attached to her hand, screen down. When I'd try to hug her, she'd stiffen, just for a second, before melting into a practiced embrace. It was like hugging a beautiful, empty statue. The first real crack appeared during a weekend trip we were supposed to take to Lake Geneva. She canceled at the last minute. Work emergency, she'd said, her voice tight. That Saturday, I decided to surprise her at her office with lunch. Her firm was located in the Aon Center, a sleek, imposing tower. When I got to her floor, the receptionist gave me a puzzled look. Amelia, she took the day off, said she was feeling under the weather. The blood drained from my face. Stood there, a bag of her favorite Portillo's getting cold in my hand, the lie echoing in the marble lobby. I drove home in a daze, my mind racing. Where was she? Who was she with? That night, when she came home talking about a grueling deposition, I just nodded. The actor in me was born in that moment. I smiled, kissed her, and felt a piece of my soul turn to ice. The clues started piling up like dirty snow on a Chicago sidewalk. A credit card receipt from a restaurant in the West Loop, the publican, on a night she was supposedly at a conference in Naperville, the scent of a cologne that wasn't mine lingering on her coat. Then came the Netflix account. We were settling in to watch a movie one night. I logged into our shared account, the one we'd had since we first moved in together. There were our profiles, Amelia and Richard. But there was a new one too, just the letter R. I clicked on it out of curiosity. The continue watching section was filled with shows Amelia and I had started together but never finished, and documentaries about sailing. Amelia hated sailing. But I knew someone who loved it. Richard Davies, senior partner at her firm, a smug, silver-haired predator I'd met at a company Christmas party. The man who always held her gaze a second too long. My finger hovered over the profile icon. I went into the settings. The profile was named Rich, not Richard. Rich. My name is Richard. I've always gone by Richard. Amelia sometimes called me Richie as a pet name, but never just Rich, but his name. Everyone called him Rich, and just below it a profile named A. My profile, Richard, hadn't been used in weeks. Theirs were active daily. It was their digital love nest. They were building a life in playlists and watch histories, while mine was being deleted. The humiliation burned hotter than any anger I had ever known. I sat there in the dark, the blue light of the TV screen illuminating the silent tears streaming down my face. The man I was died that night. In his place, something colder and far more patient was born. My breakdown was silent and swift. The next day, I called in sick. I walked for hours along the lakefront, the icy wind a welcome punishment. I saw them in my mind, laughing in our bed, using our things, living a life parallel to mine in my own home. The arrogance of it all. They thought I was a fool. A comfortable, predictable, stupid fool. And you know what? They were right, but not anymore. My grief turned into fuel. I stopped being a husband and became a strategist. First, the law. I found the best divorce attorney in Chicago, a woman known for her merciless approach. I met her in a discreet coffee shop in Lincoln Park. I told her everything. She listened, her face unreadable, then laid out a plan. In Illinois, she said, her voice sharp, we can use dissipation of assets. If she spent marital funds on the affair, we get it back. We need proof. It's undeniable, humiliating proof. So I became a ghost in my own life. I installed keystroke logging software on our home computer. I put a voice-activated recorder under the passenger seat of her car. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop who knew the city's every shadow. The evidence poured in. Texts that would make a sailor blush. Recordings of them in her car, planning a future trip to Italy, laughing about how clueless I was. The Pi delivered photos of them kissing outside a boutique hotel on Rush Street, the Hotel Felix, not 3 miles from our home. He even got receipts from a jewelry store. He'd bought her a diamond bracelet. A bracelet she told me was a self-purchase to celebrate a big win at work. The whole time I played the part of the devoted, slightly distant husband. I made her dinner. I asked about her day. I listened to her lies, my expression a carefully crafted mask of loving concern. Inside, I was meticulously documenting every lie, every dollar she spent, every secret meeting. The arrogance of the two villains was staggering. They felt untouchable, wrapped in their bubble of deceit. Amelia grew bolder, colder. She started fights over nothing, planting the seeds for her eventual departure. She was building her exit strategy, never knowing I was building a cage. The final act was set for our 9th anniversary dinner, a sick irony I couldn't resist. She had booked a table at Alinea, Chicago's temple of modernist cuisine, a place we'd been on a waiting list for years. She thought it was the perfect setting for her to finally end things, to deliver the final, condescending blow. She had no idea it was her judgment day. 2 days before the dinner, my lawyer filed the divorce petition. It included a detailed 100-page exhibit of every text, every photo, every recorded conversation. We also filed a motion to freeze all our joint assets, citing her dissipation of marital funds on her affair. Simultaneously, a formal complaint was delivered to the managing partners of her law firm, along with a copy for the State Bar Association, detailing Richard Davies' unprofessional conduct and misuse of company resources with a subordinate. That night at Alinea, she sat across from me, looking radiant and smug. She started her speech full of cliches about growing apart and needing to find herself. I just let her talk. I watched her, sipping my water, as her phone, sitting on the table, began to buzz and buzz and buzz. First, a text from her bank, alerting her to the frozen accounts. Then an email from her managing partner with the subject line, "Urgent, HR investigation." Then texts from her friends, her parents, all asking what the hell was going on. Her face went from confident to confused, then to chalk-white horror as she scrolled through her notifications. She looked up at me, her eyes wide with panic and disbelief. For the first time, she saw me. Not the fool she thought I was, but the architect of her ruin. I didn't say a word, simply stood up, placed $200 on the table to cover my water, and walked out into the cool Chicago night, leaving her alone with the wreckage of the life she had torched. I never saw her again. She lost her job, her reputation, and a significant portion of our assets in the divorce. Rich Davies was fired and faced a disciplinary hearing with the bar. They were exposed, disgraced, and utterly alone. Sometimes I walk past our old building. I look up at the A window, the one that overlooks the park. I don't feel anger anymore. I don't feel sadness. I feel nothing. It's just an empty apartment in a city full of them. The show is over. I canceled the subscription.